and welcome back to another video. We have February ScrawlrBox, so let's dive straight into it. Let's not dilly-dally. It feels very thick, but the postman jammed it in our post box, our outdoor post box, and so it annoyingly felt very crushed, so I really hope they've not damaged anything inside of here. Let's start off with the Scrawlr featured artwork. Oh, very nice. Abstract, looks like some sort of paint, thick 3D. That's actually really beautiful. Very beautiful. I love the texture. So this artist is Raphael. I'm an abstract artist living in Manchester. My journey in art started as a late night escape. I'll let you continue reading that. And then their Instagram is at the bottom there. Very nice. I like that a lot. Let's pop these open. Oh, yes. Ooh, a hefty amount of supply. Blimey. Okay, hold on. This is a handful. Let's open this up so we can see what we're working with here. So the Scrawlr sticker is a section of that featured artwork. Very, very nice. We have a love heart lollipop because we've just had Valentine's Day. Cherry flavour. Delicious. Now, onto the supplies. We seem to have some sort of plastic card here. I'm assuming, oh, here we go, the painter's card. Use this card to apply paint to your canvas or use it to scrape paint away. Cut it, mix with it, however you use it, just have fun and get creative. Very nice, I like the branding on that. I like what they've done there. We have a selection of paints here. Who are these by? What does that say? Oh, it's the Royal Talons paints. That's a good brand. Very nice brand, in fact. We have a mixture of colours. So we have black, white, gold, a lovely yellow deep ochre, a red medium, and a cobalt blue. And then for our paintbrush, we have a Pro Art Series 60 Prolon around there. And we have a Derwent Precision Pencil. Now, I have one of these. I received this a very, very long time ago, many years ago, in a ScrawlrBox, and it is a very lovely pencil. I think mine was a 0.5 though, so this is 0.7, a slightly larger thickness of lead. Very, very nice. Let's open up the Scrawlr zine and have a little look. So these paints, nice and bright, use straight from the tube or mix in a palette. Paste it on. A paintbrush with nylon bristles, ideal for painting with acrylics. Very nice. And then for the paper, we have sturdy boards, a hardy surface for a thick medium. These primed boards are ready to go. So that's what these are here. They are very, very thick. I believe we have 3. Very nice. I'm excited by this. This is different. It's lovely. Okay, let's move on. So there's a little bit more about the Scrawlr artist there. Very much abstract art. I like that. We have the Scrawlr tips and things to try, which as always I will read whilst we are swatching the supplies. Some more Scrawlr tips and some more. This is the artist's advice. Then we have the Scrawlr gallery. So this is featured artwork from Scrawlrs from 2 months prior. So this was box 112 and the challenge was unfinished business. This is where we received the lovely grayscale of chalk and graphite blocks, I think, and then the Derwent Graphitint graphite blocks as well. Very, very nice here. It was a very broad Scrawlr challenge, so a very good mix of things there. And then the top 3 from that box. Very nice. Some nice expressive poses here. Lovely. I really like those. Very nice indeed. And then the Scrawlr Extra. This is about, looks to be about colour. Scrawlr Stash. This is one of the top 3 Scrawlrs, Katie Brock, so a little bit about them and their stuff. Then we have the Scrawlr Extra, which is the world of abstract art. Interesting. And then our Scrawlr challenge is inspired by. That is a very strange Scrawlr challenge, I would say. I don't know. Very, very strange. But I like I like the idea of this. I like the abstract route. I love the really nice selection of colours here. Sometimes when we've received paints this size, we usually only receive 3, so it's nice to receive double that, and a paintbrush and a pencil. So we've got a real complex amount of supplies here and a really nice set of boards to work from. Inspired by is, I don't know, it's very broad, so I don't know. We might have to have a look into that. So on to the Scrawlr tips. It does say here, we realise you may have never seen or used products like this before, so we have put together a few hints, tips and techniques to test out and get the best from these supplies. Testing, swatch them out, see how they look. Ratios, use straight from the tube to take advantage of its lovely thick consistency. Use in a palette and add water to thin the paint out. The more water you add, the thinner the acrylic becomes, resulting in a lighter finish. This is a great use for creating shadows and adding dimension. Try mixing ratios with white and black too. Add white to create a lighter and pastel type colour. The white also makes the colour more opaque, and then add black to deepen the colour. Blending. These paints blend beautifully. Apply the colours you want to blend onto the page, slightly overlapping them, then sweep your brush over the colours, going from light to dark. Clean off your brush and then sweep over again, light to dark, for an ultra smooth transition. Layering up. These paints dry very quickly, so you can easily add thin layers on top of dry background layers when you want to add more detail to any parts of the painting. Lifting. While the paint is still wet, you can remove a layer of paint by using a lifting technique. Use a sponge, rag or tissue to easily create soft backgrounds, cloud and water effects, the illusion of fabric folds, textured patches and more. Avoid. Don't overload your brushes. Too much paint will make it challenging to control the details in your painting and will make it take longer to dry. Instead, use layers to build your details. And then finally, textures. Take advantage of the thickness from the acrylics by creating some texture. Dab and stipple on for organic style textures. Create little peaks by loading your brush and gently dotting onto the page, or even using straight from the tube. So acrylics are something I'm quite familiar with. Acrylics were my main medium that I would create all my artwork from when I was at school doing my GCSEs, and it's only recently I've started to really learn and paint with watercolours and gouache. So acrylics are kind of a more familiar territory, but using them in this abstract sense is less familiar for me. And when I thought about the Scrawlr challenge being inspired by, my obvious knee-jerk reaction is I'm very inspired by nature and animals and creatures and the outdoors, and that's what I kind of lent towards. I looked at these colours, I looked at the technique that I kind of wanted to lean into so that I wasn't straying too far from the box, and I immediately thought of silver birch trees. They have that beautiful thin bark that you can peel off, and it naturally peels off, and it has that unique quality of being very organic, basically, and that's kind of what inspired me for this painting. So I laid down some white, some blue, kind of trying to lean into having very abstract blocks of colour, and then I added this black at the bottom because I knew I wanted some depth into the piece, and then I started just layering up white. So I got the white, I mixed in a little bit of the gold just to add a little bit of a warmer hue to the colour, and then I used the card straight, no cuts or anything, and started to really layer it up. I worked so quickly with this that everything was still wet, which I think was better because everything becomes a bit more cohesive. If you apply it thick enough, you won't pick any colour up from beneath it, but if you want to add that little bit of colour, that little bit of depth, kind of bring the painting together, it was quite nice to work wet on wet, and it was very, very nice. So yes, I went ahead and I just started blobbing trees down here and there. Basically, we did one main branch in the middle and then started spraying out to the sides with more branches, well, trunks and branches, and it was just really fun to use in just this different way, not focusing on detail, not focusing on being realistic. It was just really lovely to let loose and have a little bit of fun with the paint in this way. I must admit, I really did have to tell myself not to pull out that paintbrush and start adding details and doing things here and there. And I do use the paintbrush, don't get me wrong, but it was really lovely just to use this card and really embrace the abstract nature of this box. And I'm glad I didn't go too into my comfort zone to create this piece of artwork. Once I had laid down all the white trunks, I went ahead and went a little bit heavier on the gold just to add a bit more warmth, like I say, and a bit more depth. These are a bit more pushed back behind the forefront trunks, and I think that worked really, really well. I kind of allowed it to pick up a little bit of black and blue as well, just to push it back further and create, like I say, that depth in this selection of tree trunks. Then after that, I loaded the palette card up with some black and I gently brushed it on, almost a bit Bob Ross-esque when he does mountains and he uses his palette knife and he kind of brushes on the lighter colour over the darks to create the light hitting on the surfaces and the ridges of the mountain. It's kind of like that but in reverse, and it doesn't quite have that nice line finish that silver birches have, but a bit later on I do go back in with the white and push the black out a little bit so that it's not quite as black on some of those trunks, and there's definitely a lights and darks kind of contrast between the black and the white on there a little bit more. Then to bring the branches out a little bit more, I went ahead and started adding a little bit more black to the background. I initially started with this palette knife card here, but I found that quite difficult to be accurate and I was applying quite thick paint, which I didn't really want. I wanted the trunks to kind of sit above the background. So then I went in with the brush like I mentioned earlier and I just started adding that black, fading it into the blue at the top and fading it down to the bottom as well. And it was quite lovely because as I start adding it, you can see the silver birch trunks really start to pop off that background, and I think it was the perfect move to do. As much as I liked that more abstract sketchily background, I think it really did need this pushing back to make the trunks stand out a lot more. Then I loaded up my palette card with some more black and I just added thin little branches, and this to me pulled this together beautifully. I think just being really organic with it, not worrying about where I'm placing them, allowing the card to bend and using the flexibility of that card to create little bent branches was perfect. I think I probably could have gone a bit heavier with them, but I was a bit worried I would overdo it, but I think it worked out really, really nice. I'm really, really pleased with them. And then to top it all off, I added some of the cadmium yellow, a little touch of the red and a little touch of the gold, and I just started applying kind of a bit of a stippling brush technique with the paintbrush to add some of the really nice autumnal leaves to the background. That just finishes this piece off, and I didn't go too heavy. I allowed it to pick up a bit of the black as well, so there's a bit of depth to the leaves, and it worked out really perfectly. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I really did enjoy this box actually. I didn't think I would, but I definitely did. It helped that I lent into my kind of comfort zone in terms of subject, but I'm glad I pushed myself with the style of art, and I hope you have managed to do the same. So do let me know in the comments down below, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.